Hey, welcome to the Life After Addiction Indictment. I've got a special guest today, a gentleman that I just met a couple of weeks ago, and his story just captivated me because we had a lot of likenesses in some ways, but man, this guy has really taken his hardship and really found some gifts and really tapped into, his faith and let God kind of steer him, and that's something that really inspires me and something that I totally believe in, and so. Welcome to the show, Abe. Abe Cruz.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you for giving me the opportunity because it is a blessing. So thank you.
You bet. I kind of look at life. I think just a little I know you can just sense things and I think we probably think a lot alike. And it's pretty easy to go along in life and just kind of do what we think is best. And not include, God in our lives.
Right.
And I've done it both ways, and there's a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we think we know what we're doing, or we think that we're in charge and we're all cool and bad. And, that's what ends up happening is we slip, we fall, and we usually fall pretty hard.
That's so true. Well, let's kind of give us a little bit kind of your background, how you grew up, and then, kind of where things went and how you ended up, where you did. Yeah, hit the slammer, baby.
So I was born in East LA, and, I was born in 1981 in East LA. And
Wow.
my father left when I was about 4 years old. So my mother was left to take care of 3 kids by herself. We pretty much grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment the majority of my teen and young adult life.
Where did you fit in as far as age of the kids? Where did you fit in?
So I was the middle child.
Okay.
I was the middle. My sister was a few years older than me, and my brother was like 18 months younger than me. So I was the middle. And it's funny because people talk about the siblings, and they say that the middle child is always ignored and neglected. I don't know if that's true or not, but I never felt that, but I like to joke about it.
Yeah.
So my mom, raised us in a 1-bedroom apartment. I get into the story in my book a little bit. We grew up in poverty, but that's all we knew. So It was okay. It wasn't a big deal. We were used to, not having tons of food. We were used to wearing the same clothes every week, and, having holes in my shoes until my feet were bleeding, running up and down.
There was one part I was reading in your book, and there, I didn't interrupt you. There was one part that talked about that. And I think because you played sports, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but you wore like 5 or 6 pairs of socks or something.
I was wearing, up to 7 and 8 pairs of socks. And, people asked me, what is that? And I told them it was my style.
You're setting a new trend.
I said, this is just my style. I do it. So I made up excuses, but the reality is because I had holes in my under the shoe, and I needed padding on my feet. So that's kind of what I did. Until I was just blessed and fortunate to meet some coaches in the sport, and they ended up becoming like my mentor and my father figure. And my basketball coach, Oscar Cepeda, I talk about him and his whole family in the book because they were a complete shift in direction of life. I would go and I would hang out with them, and he was a big family. It was him and his wife, and they had, I want to get this right so I don't offend any of them, but there was Omar, there was Orly, Olivia, and Oliver. So there was 4. It was a family of 6, and they had a beautiful home that, they went to private school, and I saw that life, and I was like, wow, this is nice. Wow. And then I would go back home to Pasadena or to East LA in my 1-bedroom apartment and just be dreaming about, man, I wish I could just stay with them more. But that was kind of my whole upbringing. But sports is really what allowed me to see a different shift in life. My mom got us into the Big Brother organization and to the Boys and Girls Clubs and all those kinds of things. But my big brother, Ken Mendoza, I think we were maybe 9 or 10. He took me to my first UCLA game. He graduated from from UCLA, and so it was about the Bruins and not the Trojans. so so we went to UCLA games, and I saw what the Rose Bowl was and Pauley Pavilion, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Little kid doesn't see anything in life, so when they see those things, it's just like, it's shocking. So I grew up wanting more. Pretty simple,
Have you kept in touch with your big brother? Or any of your coaches?
Well, Oscar and the Cepeda family, absolutely.
That's what I thought. I read that part.
Yeah, Oscar, he's in the book. Ken is in the book as well. We're not as in touch because there was a stretch of probably, when I went to college and then prison, where, I lost touch from everybody and never really was in touch. But whether he knows it or not, he will know now that he was really a great part of my upbringing. He had a few incredible years, like I said, going to UCLA games and seeing football and basketball on a college level. And he would always talk about going to college. You need to go to college. It's so important. Get your education. I learned so much from him, so that's I have to give him that credit.
Well, like you said, I'm sure he knows, and if he doesn't, he'll find out. And if he's anything like me, and I know you're the same way, there's nothing more that impacts me or makes me feel better than just helping somebody. Period.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. So,
but you don't get that feeling. You don't get that feeling until you're on the other side.
Correct. Correct.
Before we're hunger and we're arrogant and we're greedy and we're chasing. It's like, mine, give me. I want everything. I want to look cool. I want money. I want this and that. We don't even recognize that helping somebody in need changes their life. It picks them up. It makes them feel better. And that's the ultimate high.
Amen.
Like, that's incredible.
And I also believe, no matter, like you said, it takes time in our life to grow and to humble ourselves to realize that. But no matter when you're helping someone or, making an impact on others, it's like, if you focus on them, we'll get what we want,
Absolutely.
It's easy to say, but it's not always easy to do.
No.
Until you get older, it becomes easier.
Right. And that too, or you hit a rock bottom, you lose something. And that's the sad part, is that us as human beings, we're not able to reflect and become what we need to be until we realize we don't want to be that.
That's so
we have
true.
to go through pain and suffering is required to grow.
Yep. And it seems like, we take for granted the things that we love most that are closest to us, not intentionally.
Right.
It's that human, like you said, it's really interesting how it works. And then we have to hit some sort of bottom, or something has to wake us up.
Right.
Yeah. So then you became an incredible athlete, like a sport athlete.
Yeah. By this, well, I'll share this as I move into the sports, and I share this simply so people can get the whole story. I was teased pretty much, from the 5th grade on. 7th grade, I flunked out of school out of 7th grade, or I had to repeat the 7th grade because I didn't go to school 90% of the time. I missed about 300 days of school.
Wow.
I had acne. My clothes had holes in them. My shoes had holes in them. I was just being made fun of.
So and you were avoiding it, not going on purpose, just to deal with that. Yeah.
I just didn't go to school, and I would literally just tell I wouldn't even tell my mom. I would literally just take a basketball or a football, and I would go to a park, and I would play for hours until it was time to go to the Boys and Girls Club, where I could play sports. Because playing sports, even though they still teased me, while we're in the middle of the game, the focus is the game.
Yeah.
And who cares if you have acne and holes? If you're making a 3-point shot or some layup, you're the man now.
That's no kidding.
So that's what kind of lifted me. But I was training, even though I flunked the 7th grade. I was playing sports every day, working on my jump shot, working on my speed, on my footwork. I was a workhorse. I was practice. And by the time I think I was 11 years old, and I was playing with the 12 and 13-year-olds. So I was the youngest one in that league, and we ended up losing in the championship. And I was the MVP runner-up at the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
And then the next year, I was 12 years old playing with the 12 and 13-year-olds, and we went undefeated. I won MVP. I had a hard coach there. He has passed away. Rest in peace, Coach Marin. But he was such a great coach. I used to love to shoot 3-pointers, and in the 7th grade, I'd shoot from NBA threes.
No, and when you say he was hard, you mean hard on you to really do things right and
discipline, run the offense.
Yeah,
we have a system. He was teaching us like we were in college already.
Stick with those fundamentals and execute.
Absolutely. Your 3-point shot, statistically, you have a better shot going to the basket. Shoot free throws. You don't need to shoot above the 3-point line. So although it was frustrating for me, we ended up winning. I made some threes along the way, but he was always teaching me lessons. And these are important for our viewers, that we get lessons every day as we grow up. We just don't realize them sometimes.
So true.
So I ended up playing that year. And then I went over to the other side of Pasadena Panthers and played football in the Pop Warner League. And again, I was the youngest. I was a heavyweight. I was heavy.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to move up an age group, but I had an incredible season. We went like 16-0, won a championship. And then I was playing the 2 sports, and then a basketball coach came over to the Boys and Girls Club who played travel ball. This was Oscar.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, I'm looking for some local talent. I have a traveling team that we're going to travel to the US, and I need to take some serious ball players." When when you start playing AAU and everything.
Yeah, that's the
he
real
goes,
stuff.
"Man, you're not going to believe it. I have," and this is Javier. This is his words. He said, "Man, I have the best 11-year-old I have ever seen ever." And I was 11, and I met Oscar, and the next week I was practicing in another city, at 7:00 at night, 7 to 9. And my mom, was working. My mom couldn't come pick me up, take me to practice. She didn't even know what was going on, but she said, "I have work. I have work. I can't be doing this." And Oscar, as a person who loves, a person who cares, a father figure, a coach, a leader, he said, "I'm going to help this young man out. I'll pick you up. I'll take you home. I'll pay for your entry fees to go into the tournaments." He bought me a new pair of shoes because my ones had holes in them.
Wow.
He was just a father figure. He was a coach, but he became a father.
Yeah.
And he was incredible, and his sons and his daughter, like just an incredible family. And before you knew it, we were going into the next school year. And this is all in the book. We were going to the next school year, and I got notification that I flunked the 7th grade.
Oh,
and my mom was upset. She's pissed off.
That blindsided her.
Yeah. And then I had to tell Oscar, because Oscar says, "You have so much talent and potential to go to high school and college. We need to guide you in the right direction." And he said, "You need to come over here to this private school. You can get your education. We'll help you. We'll get you on the right track of life." And I had to tell him I just flunked the 7th grade. And
oh gosh,
that's a whole nother story about life, and the movie The Blue Chips. If anyone saw that, Shaquille O'Neal and all those guys. So I was blessed. I was fortunate. I went over to that school, that Catholic school in All Souls Elementary in Alhambra, California. And he sat me down in his Suburban SUV, and he says, "Man, if you come to All Souls, you guys are going to win championships. You're going to go to high school. You're going to win championships. You're going to go off to college. And Abe, you have the potential to go to the pros. You got to work hard, stay focused. You got to get your grades in." So he was coaching me all the time.
Yeah.
And my first year at All Souls, football season was the first sport up, and we went 38-0.
Holy cow.
And I scored 106 touchdowns.
No way.
In
You
38
playing running
games.
back?
I played everything.
Yours. I can tell you play all. Yeah.
Yeah, I put. Well,
Just get the ball in your hands.
That year, the 7th grade year, we had a 8th grader. He was the center on our basketball team, but in football, he was our quarterback. He was about 6'1", 6'2", and he could just throw the ball.
And you could outrun everybody.
He'd just throw 50-yard bombs, and that was it. So
that had to have been a lot of fun.
Oh my God, we went 38-0.
That's
and
incredible.
won a CI, the first time ever in the school history. We won a CYO championship. And then we move over into basketball season and we pretty much do the same thing. We went all the way to the finals. Our record that year ended up being, I think it was like 52-2.
Wow.
52-2. We lost to the same team in one championship game in another tournament, and then we met them in the CYO finals for all of the finals in California, and we lost to them in the championship by a few points. But our tallest player was our quarterback, who was about 6'1". They had 6'7", 6'5", and 6'3".
Oh gosh, so you couldn't even get a rebound.
This is 8th grade.
Right. Those guys are giants.
Yeah, they were monsters. They went off and played some big time ball. But then after that season, we went back, and I even shared in the book. We were getting ready to defend our championship in football, and I got in trouble. I disobeyed my mom. She grounded me. I didn't want to close the window in my room, and I talked back to her. She slapped me, and she said, "You're not playing in the football game."
Really? And she held her guns.
And she held her guns, and she told Coach Oscar, he's not playing. He disrespected me. He doesn't get to play. And this was in the playoffs.
Oh, that had to hurt. But she
And
taught you a lesson right there.
And we lost.
Wow.
And we were undefeated up to that point, of course. And
so there were several lessons that took place right then, because you let the whole team down.
The whole team down. And that was Oscar's biggest lesson. You didn't only let your mom down. You disrespected your mom. You disrespected yourself, and you disrespected all of us.
Yeah.
So it was brutal. Then we go up to basketball, and we ended up, I think we went like 57-0 that year and won it all.
Unreal.
Yeah.
You just dominated. So it's obvious that you worked hard, no doubt about it, but I hate to use the word because, if you read about the Jordans and the Kobes and the best of the best period, they have a work ethic like nobody. Most people don't understand and see that because they just think they're just gifted. I mean, you obviously had talent, but you sounds like you worked your butt off as well. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, and now I'm 39, and I kind of rewind as I was writing the book. Right, I had to think about it, and it was fortunately, that's just. I didn't have much. I didn't grow up with, we didn't have video games during those times. There was no cell phones.
Yeah.
You were either in the house playing a puzzle or Connect Four, or you were out on the streets, you know? So I was training by the 7th grade with strain shoes on, the strain shoes.
Yeah.
With the heels. I was grabbing the rim. I was grabbing the rim at 7th grade, and I was able to dunk in the 8th grade.
You got some hops too then.
And I'm the same height now that I was then.
Really? So you got your height early then?
I grew up fast. Yeah. I hit puberty early. My acne was really bad.
Oh, that's right. Because you were young. That's what I thought of. So I thought he had his growth spurt early.
Yeah. Wow. And I from the time I was in 7th grade till I graduated high school, I only grew 2 more inches.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up as a senior about 5'9".
Well, let's fast forward a little. So you get into high school, you're dominating. Freshman starter.
My freshman year,
right?
My freshman year in football, we go 16-0. I led the team in touchdowns, and I played freshman football. Then in basketball, I went straight to varsity.
Yeah, as a freshman.
As a true freshman. And that was a time of some reflection and pain and suffering because, as a spoiled athlete growing up, I just dominated, and I was gonna win. We just knew it. And of course, playing time was never a question, or starting was never a question. It was automatic.
Yeah.
But I go to high school, and there's 9 seniors on the team.
Oh, gee.
And 9 seniors, two sophomores, and me, a freshman. And we had another freshman, Mr. Holloway. He did real good. He didn't end up starting like me, but he did very well. But the senior, they wanted to make an example of me. He was elbowing me, he was pushing me in practice every day. I didn't back down. I was a small little puny freshman, probably about 150 pounds, 155 pounds. But I was working, work ethic. And I would go from football to basketball. So I was double sporting it, you know,
Jeez.
because I went to summer. And long story short is that the team had a very slow start. We lost a lot of games. I was pulling my hair out. I hadn't lost.
Bet you're not used to that.
I lost more in the first month of my freshman year of high school than I did my entire career before that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to transfer. I was like, I can't be here. And Oscar is the one, you know, who really guided me and got me to that school. And this is a Catholic prestigious school. Education was an incredible school. And I just said, I'm not playing. I'm playing 5 minutes. They're not giving me a chance. I'm a pouty freshman.
Yeah.
But the coach sat me down. He said, keep working hard, keep doing what you're doing. You can't think that you're just going to come in here as a freshman and take it. You have to earn it, Abe. So he had a really strong talk with me, and I kept pushing, I kept working. And one game he put me in. I mean, he put me in all the time, but one game specifically kind of flipped the whole script. I went in, and probably within 7 or 8 minutes, I scored 10, 12 points. I hit, 3 3-pointers, had a couple steals and assists. They left me in. We won.
Wow.
And from that point on, it was kind of that kind of a situation. And we ended up battling back, winning. We got a wild card position for the playoffs. We were like the last bracket, like we were the very bottom on a wild card, and we won our wild card in the playoffs to go on and continue. And I started from there all the way up, and we ended up going all the way to the CIF championship, Division IV championship. And I started all the way through there. And, the headlines, I remember the first playoff game.
I remember reading it.
The Thief of Baghdad. The Thief of Baghdad. Because I had like 7 steals in one game.
Wow.
And that was it. We won the CIF championship. I got a championship ring. And in the state playoffs, I had to guard Baron Davis.
I was going to say, I was hoping you'd bring that up. That's big time.
That was big time. In BD, they don't call him Baron. Everybody, that's BD.
Yeah.
He was a senior. He was a man child. Baron was already. He was a monster already. Senior year, he went for 32 on us. They barely won. I will say that they barely won. We only lost by 3. I actually stole the ball from him at one of the first plays of the game.
I'll bet that got under him a little, knowing these
guys. Well, he did, and he stopped playing around with me, and he just backed me down. Yeah, and started to post me, and he was 6'3", 6'4", probably about 220 at that time.
Yeah,
he looked like a linebacker.
Yep.
And we had to switch. We had to put one of our forwards on him, and we couldn't guard him. Man,
and he had the speed to beat him.
Huh?
Then he had the speed to beat them, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, he was incredible. So we ended up losing. We went to the state. That was the state quarterfinals because we won CIF. We won the next round of the state tournament, second round, and then we lost to Barron. But it was an incredible experience.
I'll say.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. So you're the stud athlete, and then you kind of start to take things for granted as you hit that junior year. It sounds like, was it junior year, late in the junior year?
It was my junior
schoolwork, right?
Yeah.
So that's when things just started to get a little lackadaisical on your schoolwork.
Little cocky. I remember I was studying a tape because they have VHS then, right? I was studying a tape of Dion Figures, and Dion Figures and one other guy. I apologize to him. But it was a Colorado defensive back tape. And I brought this to the defensive coordinator, Coach Jimenez, who's also in the book. I love him. He's my favorite football coach of all time. I said, Coach, check this out. So we started watching it. It showed bump and run because all they played in high school is, zone, cover 3, back pedal. I said, Coach, we're better than that. We're better than all these athletes. And all of our athletes in the secondary were studs. The other guy on the other side, Marcel Allman, he went to go play at USC, won a national championship. He was a 300 hurdler, state championship. He was a stud.
Wow.
So that year, with all the hard work, all the practice, I was ready to just come in and have an incredible season. and I had 13 interceptions in 10 games.
Holy cow.
Well, they were afraid of Marcel.
Well, they're afraid of you now.
Well, for the next year,
Wow.
yeah. Well, we ended up going to the playoffs, of course, as the top seed, and we went all the way to the finals, the championship, and we lost in the finals 14-17.
Oh,
and you know, they didn't even throw the ball my way the whole playoffs.
yeah.
But we went to the finals, we lost, so heartbreaking. But that year, because, you know, I was on the cover of every newspaper and all the media, I was falling asleep in class. I wasn't showing up to class. I wasn't doing my homework. I was training. It's no excuse, but I was training at 5 and 6 in the morning before school, and then I would train and practice in the afternoon with the team. So it just drove me to get up and work. But obviously I wasn't in the pros. I was in high school still. And I had to get my education done. I had to study. I slipped up. And by the time it was all over and done with, and we moved into basketball season, it was time to check our report card. My GPA fell to a 1.7.
Oh, wow.
And in high school, Catholic school, private school, you have to maintain a 2.5, not a 2.0, 2.5.
Where you can't
And
play?
I was way below.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting so upset. I punched the wall. It hurt my hand. I was, you know, embarrassing, of course.
All the stuff we do until we learn, and takes the life to learn, you know?
Yeah. Well, I come back my senior year, and you know, by the end of that school year, I got my GPA up to a 3.2. You know, I focused on that, got the task done, moved into my senior year. But whatever reason, because I studied, I did everything I could not pass my SATs.
Okay.
I couldn't pass my SATs to move on with a Division I scholarship. I was on the phone during lunch, talking to Notre Dame, talking to Nebraska, talking to UCLA. I mean, I remember Notre Dame specifically, talking to the coaches at lunch. You know, my coach would call me in, and hey, they're interested in you, and come check out our campus. You'll be perfect here.
Could have wrote your own ticket, basically, picking whatever school.
But my GPA, then my SATs, and then I got injured my senior year.
Oh, man.
First game of the season, my meniscus, my MCL, medial collateral ligament, ended up pulling. The team doctor says, I said, well, am I going to be okay? You know, I said, I don't think I'm okay for today, but I'll come back the next game. He says, son, your whole season in basketball season could be over. And I was just like, oh, no. And
what do I do?
No, we went to a specialist. Long story short is I came back in about 4 weeks.
Wow.
The doctor couldn't believe that my meniscus healed and was strong enough to go through that. My defensive back coach, he took me to one of the best doctors that the Lakers used, and just worked on me and physical therapy. And I was young, so I healed fast and quick. You know, and I was back on the field and had a good season. Basketball year came around. We had a great season, fell short, but it was time to pick the college, and I had to qualify to get my D1 scholarship, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So you can tell, you know, decisions that you make in your past affect your future.
So true. You know, I tell, you know, I got 4 boys and a girl. I say little, but she's almost 17 now. But you know, it's like, I tell them and people I work with as well. It's like, we can create our future, or you can let it be created for you.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
It's all based on decisions we make, and and the way we think, and all sorts of other stuff that I know that you know all about, of course. So that kind of hampers the injury, then, you know, the issues with the grades and stuff. So you play a little college ball, and then
I ended up going to the University of Wisconsin Stout school. I sent them my tape. They called me. They said, yes, come out here. You got it. And again, we won a conference championship. We went 15-1. I got a ring. You know, I started on offense and then moved over to defense and had a successful time there. Led the team in receptions, crossed over into defense, had some interceptions. And this is where the story gets crazy.
Yep, right here.
And so I was going to go play basketball for this college. it was a new coach. So the coach that recruited me, or that I talked to, that I was going to go play for, he left. They brought in a new coach. That new coach brought in his player from another university.
Oh, geez.
So he brought a senior over, and here we go again. I'm repeating my high school.
Yep.
Freshman versus senior. I practiced. I got on the team. I came from football late because we were playing football in the playoffs, but we came over and I was doing double shift and I was kicking his butt.
Oh, wow.
And the coach says, hey, I think for everybody, the best thing is that you redshirt. And I was a little upset, but whatever.
Was he trying to protect his guy?
Well, I think both of them, both of us, really. Okay. He's like, I don't want to limit your playing time, and then I'm not going to sit him on the bench. So let's redshirt you. Get bet. You're already better than everyone. Keep working. Next year, you'll be a superstar. I said, fine. I went home for the little vacation time. I think it was Christmas. And my brother and some friends, I started seeing a bunch of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Bentleys driving around in like some of the areas where I went to high school. Now, I went to a decent high school, and you might see some Mercedes or some BMWs, but there were no Ferraris and Bentleys. Yeah. I was like, what is going on? What is that? And it had a big old letters across the side, and it said 2x2.net. And my brother and my cousin told me it's a network marketing company, and this is what you do, blah, blah, blah. And these guys are 19, 20, 21, and they're making 6 figures a month. And I said, oh my, what is it? So they sat me down. I learned it. I learned the presentation. And in 1 week, they coached me. So in 1 week, I could do my first presentation, because the plan was I'm going to take it back to Wisconsin and blow it up.
Yep.
So I did my first presentation in less than 5 days. I made my first check for $49. I was excited.
Absolutely.
So my freshman year, when I flew to college, I was a typical college athlete. Backwards hat, some earrings, maybe some jewelry, baggy shorts and a t-shirt and a tank top. This time I came back for summer camp or for summer. I was coming back for summer football. I came back in a suit and tie in a briefcase.
You got that image going for the MLM world.
The offensive lineman came to get me from the airport. They're like, Hollywood? Because they call me Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because I had highlights in my hair my freshman year and everything. And they said, Hollywood, what are you doing? I said, oh, I just started a new business. I'll share it with you a little bit later. And within the first week, I sat down in one of the football houses that we don't have no furniture in it. And I pulled together the smartest 5 guys on the team, the quarterbacks, the running back, receiver, a couple DBs. And I said, look, guys, there's a bunch of 19, 20, and 21-year-olds in LA making 50 and 100 grand a month right now. We can do this here. Trust me. We're the beginning of this. No one knows about it. We are going to just tear this thing up. They didn't hesitate. They pulled out credit cards, their mom's credit cards, whatever it was. They got started, and probably 2-3 months later, I made 30 grand.
That's impressive.
And they started making money. And then this is where things start to shift. I started making real money, and my upline from Los Angeles, they sent someone out to coach me, to work with me, mentor me. Now I'm reading Jim Rohn. Now I'm reading Les Brown, John C. Maxwell, Tony Robbins. That's that. And my mentor is telling me, why are you playing football? Why are you going to class? You make more money than your professor.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I guess you're right. But no, my dream is to go to the NFL. I want to play in the NFL or the NBA, and I can get there. And he's like, Abe, you could still make that kind of money without having to hit anybody. And I played, I was hitting all the time, defense. I was in pain. I was suffering.
Yeah.
And so long story short is we shipped out an NSX and a Lamborghini.
Really? That's great.
And the cars were driving around campus now. And before you knew it,
that's the marketing.
Marketing. The coaches are saying, Cruz, you're a distraction now. Get these people out of here. Focus on the game. Now, at this point, I had an incredible freshman year. I went 15-1. My sophomore year, we won our first 3 games that I was part of. One practice, coaches were yelling at me and the seniors were yelling at me because they said that I was a distraction now. I was hitting a bag. I was like, we're doing a hitting drill, the bag. And I mean, I'm in college now. I'm 170 pounds, maybe 165. And I'm hitting it. And the seniors yelling at me saying, hit it harder, hit it harder. And I'm like, dude, I'm already, that's it. So he started cursing me out. I got upset, took my helmet off, threw it, and left.
Really?
Walked off the field, went to the locker room, changed, and left.
I'm done.
I'm done. And coach called me that night. I said, Coach, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, my upline, my mentors were in my ear.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of, you know, this is obviously after weeks of them driving around. I mean, we had 4 coaches, a couple of coaches joined the business with us.
Yeah. But I can see where they're coming from, but I also see where your upline's coming from too. It's what do you want to do? I mean, it's a tough call because I have the philosophy, unless you're going to go specialize in school or unless you want to try to be that athlete, then quit wasting your time and money going into debt for school, you know? There's just
those are a whole nother discussion.
Exactly.
So that's what happened. I ended up leaving school and I just continued to pursue that business for the next 6 to 8 months. I stayed out in the Midwest and I traveled to Minnesota, Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Minnesota, all those areas, and just expanding with the business, going on to college campuses.
No kidding.
And before you knew it, there was 3,000 people involved.
Wow. That's
so
downline. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd made right about $100,000.
Yeah.
And the problem is my upline pretty much told me, hey, save your money because this ship is about to sink.
Meaning and the company, they knew something was up. Gotcha.
This guy's in the top, he was a top money earner. You know, I mean, we learn this now, right? We don't know this before, but in network marketing, you know, to become a top money earner, you're talking about the top 5%, the top 1% are the ones that are making 6 figures. Right. The top 10% are making something.
Everyone else is.
Yeah.
They're selling the, yeah. Anyway,
yeah. So
I live in the hub of MLMs right here in Utah.
Yes, actually, yes. So there's a couple I've heard about there, and you know what? I have nothing negative to say about
I love
MLM.
the industry. I love the model, but you're
right.
Yeah.
Right. And I learned so much from that first experience. And so, you know, that ended up happening. Before you knew it, I was out there and the business was kind of done. I was just hanging out, jumping from hotel to hotel, living in the suitcase. And I decided, okay, I need to just get back home, go back to my mom. I'm in LA. And I just started partying. I had a little bit of money, started partying at the Playboy Mansion and doing what stupid kids do at, 21 years old. And that led to, horrible endings. And eventually that money ran out and I got to go back and find a normal job. And, no regular jobs pay 10 and 20 grand a month. So
better income. So now you know what it's like.
Right. So now, right. So now I went back and I became a personal trainer, training clients at 5 a.m., doing real estate during the day. And then I ended up picking up a night job where I was a promoter. I was promoting club promotions. So I'd bring people to the club and I'd make money like that. So I was busy, crazy. Yeah, really. And that life led to nothing but chaos and more craziness and problems all the time. And before you knew it, this is where someone approached me. And now the story begins. And someone approached me and said, Abe, you're working 3 jobs. Oh, not to mention, I came home one night from Orange County, a club in Orange County. I was driving back at 3:30 in the morning to my 5 a.m. client. And I fell asleep behind the wheel.
Oh, wow.
I crashed into a car. That's when it was like, that was it.
Yeah.
My mom needed money. The girl I was dating at the time broke my heart. She ripped my heart out of socket. She dumped me. I just hit a point where like, man, I can't do this. And this is someone approached me and said, for all 3 of those jobs and what it would take you 3, 4, 6 months to make. I'll show you how to make that money in a weekend's time. And I actually said no like 3 times.
Really?
But before you know it, it just my cell phone was getting cut off. I'm paying $20 a month just to keep my phone on, and I'm struggling like that. Your ATM is overdrawn. I remember those stories. So I ended up taking this job, driving cross country, and this is where the story begins. And
Are you driving from California all the way to Florida?
I was driving I'm going to say from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And
like once a week or?
Well, there's no set schedule in that industry.
Depends. Yeah.
Yeah. It's whenever they call on you. And,
yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Just whenever the timing you get there.
Yeah. So, and there's times I did it, twice in a month and 3 times in a month, and other times maybe just once in a month. And I did that for a while. Almost over a year, I remember my first trip get paid like $10,000-$15,000.
Wow.
And in 48 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours.
Wow.
So, I do that. And what's the first thing I do? Put a down payment on a BMW and I get a Rolex.
I know what that's like, buddy.
I gave my mom a little bit of money for rent, for some food, but then I said, all right, I'm gonna go party now. So, after a $15,000 payday, less than a week later, I got like $1,000 left. Yeah.
We're young, man, and experienced. You got to learn. It takes time, unfortunately.
Right.
Wow. So about a year you're doing that, I know what happens in the book. So
about a year doing that, I got pulled over a few times, obviously. And, that should have been a wake-up call, right? That should have scared me to say, all right, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
I kept doing it, kept moving it. And before you knew it, eventually it came down. I got busted, got pulled over in Oklahoma City off the turnpike. And, they
based on the way, so based on the way it came down, I'll let the viewers purchase your book so they can find the details, but do you feel like they had been watching you and that's why, because it didn't sound like you necessarily were breaking laws because they were following you for a while, right? A little while.
Well,
and having the DA show up.
Right. Within like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even 5 minutes, like how that's just everything happened so quick. I all of a sudden I'm coming down the turnpike, come off the hill. I see cops behind me, following me for a while. Don't say anything. And then, 5 minutes later, turn on the sirens, pull over, we're in the grassy knolls, a bunch of grass. And I'm just just calm, trying to relax.
Yeah.
I had a tank top on. Some army shorts and some flip-flops, like a little college student. I lied. I told them I was visiting my girlfriend at OU or one of the colleges, and I lied. And, they said, well, would you mind if we search your car and all those things? And I said, sure, absolutely. No problem.
Because you were on your way back, right? So you're unloaded.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Oh, really? So
that's what's supposed to happen, right? I drive product to one location. I drive money back. That's what's supposed to happen. Well, they end up checking the car, the dogs, the DEA checked on everything. They didn't hit or anything. And this is where the story gets crazy. I can't even talk about too much of it, but they ended up they took a chainsaw and opened up the car.
Oh man.
Because they couldn't open it. It wasn't like anything was just there. It was compact, like a movie.
Yeah.
Hidden. And I
remember, did one of the cops, did he say he smelled epoxy or something? Like, because they had
Bondo.
Yeah, Bondo. So they had closed that area, so they would have to get into it then, I guess, huh?
Right. Yeah. So,
okay.
And I didn't know what he meant at the time. I learned this later. He said, what's that smell? It smells like Bondo. Did you just paint your car? He asked. And, I'm like, oh yeah, we just did a touch up, blah, blah. And
they're trained on that, obviously. Because I was like, when I read that, it wasn't normal to me, but then it made sense as I realized, okay. Wow. So then it bust you.
So then he pulls me to the grass and, there's a little story in between. You guys could read the book. It was about a 4 to 5 hour time by the time they took me out of the car till they found it.
Wow.
And 4 to 5 hours, I fell asleep somewhere, and they ended up coming, 4 or 5 hours later, said I was chained. I was handcuffed to a pole.
Oh,
and
gosh.
they said, Mr. Cruz, we found everything. You're busted. You're going to jail. They said that they found a lot of money and a kilo of cocaine.
Jeez.
And this is where it's all speculation. Now, the book's out. We don't know.
I know what you're talking about there.
We don't know.
The truth.
There shouldn't have been any cocaine in there.
Right.
Why would we leave it there? That's another $30,000 to $40,000 street value. Easy.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about here.
So
people don't understand what goes on.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. I'm handcuffed now. And, I get one phone call to get my brother and call him at, I'm in Oklahoma. He's in LA. So they're 2 hours behind us. He's passed out asleep. And for whatever reason, he ends up picking up his phone. I was so fortunate. I said, hey, brother, stay calm, relax. Don't panic. Just listen to my words. I'm in jail. I need you to get my cash, fly to Oklahoma and bail me out. I'm in jail.
Wow.
And that happened.
Crazy.
And that happened. And then, I get out the next, I don't even know how many days I was in. I couldn't have been in more than 48 hours. My brother got there pretty quick, maybe 2-3 days max, maybe 72. And he bailed me out. We paid the bond. I had cash. And we met, hired an attorney. As soon as I got out, and I called my mom because my mom hadn't seen me now in probably a week. Because, I was driving, I was there for 2-3 days, 3 days, 4 days. And then I got busted and I was gone for another 3-4 days.
Yeah.
So, now we're going on maybe almost 7 days. So she was worried about me. I had to call her. As soon as I called, she's crying because the DEA already raided her apartment.
Gosh, that had to freak her out.
That she said there was 30 DEA agents with guns and dogs, and they're tearing up the house, throwing everything around. So, I call my mom. She's crying, saying, what did you do, Abraham? What did you do? The DEA agent takes the phone from my mom, and he's cursing me out, telling me I'm no good for nothing and blah, just telling me off. I couldn't say anything because he was right at the time. I really couldn't. I wasn't going to argue with him. We fly back to LA. My brother ended up taking my BMW to the airport for whatever reason. He used my car.
Oh no.
So we fly back to Burbank Airport, and I get off the plane. We're fine. We're going back to the car. He has the remote, the clicker, the alarm. So we're looking for the car, and he's like, I thought it was parked here. I said, you sure? Where is it? Crazy. And you couldn't miss my BMW because I ended up changing it. It was all black. I tinted the windows black on black. The tires are black on chrome. All of the lights I took out, so I didn't have any red lights in it. It was all crystal.
Oh, wow.
So the whole car was like black, chrome, and crystal. It looked like Al Pacino's car.
Well, they freaking took it.
So we're like, where's the car, brother? It was gone.
Unreal.
They seized the car.
Yep.
They took it. I called my attorney. I said, they took my car. What do I do? He says, you have two options. You can go to the police station, claim it, but then they're going to ask you for proof of funds. They're going to ask you all of these questions on how you paid for the car and this and that. He says, Abe, they might detain you there. I said, they can have the car. Let them have it. So they kept the BMW. And before you knew it, I'm in the middle of this case now.
Through the trial.
They offered me 30 years on a violent crime.
Holy hell.
So they wanted to send me away for 30 years. And in the state of Oklahoma, and I learned all this throughout the time, in the state of Oklahoma, because they said I had a kilo of cocaine, that would classify as a violent crime. Jeez. If I didn't have the kilo of cocaine, they would have put me as a non-violent. crime.
Which you did not, anyway, but yeah.
I didn't have that. But
right, I know.
to put me on
the way it
that.
works. Dude,
right. And
pathetic,
you
man.
know, the reality is I had money saved, so I was able to pay a decent attorney to actually fight the case. But 30 years, violent crime was their first offer. I was getting ready to leave to China or to Venezuela or to Mexico. I was already like planning an escape because I had to report back to Oklahoma within 30 days.
So did this stay as a state charge, or were they able to enhance it to federal?
Because I was transporting cross state lines.
That's what I assume. It should be federal.
It would have been federal.
Okay.
But we fought the case for 2 years, and we had the option of keeping it state or federal. In federal time, they were going to give me a less sentence, but in federal, you serve 90% of your time.
Mandatory minimums and
And in state time, there's credits, there's schoolings, and I was a first-time offender.
Yep.
So, well, they didn't care that I was a first-time offender because they gave me 30 years on violent, but money paid down the way, and I got it from 30-year violent to 25 non-violent to 20 to 15 to 12, and I had to fly back there every
And this
month.
is all pleading, right? This is all you're
Yeah.
working and just pleading, mitigating it down. Okay.
Yeah, just saying, hey, it's a first offense. He needs to have, you know, something better than that. He's paying all this. He's doing that.
Well, that obviously shows they know they don't have the case to get you for 30. I mean, sounds like, otherwise they wouldn't keep coming.
Yeah.
So do you go through trial then?
Huh?
Do you end up going through trial, or do you end up pleading?
No, we end up playing and just saying that's it. We'll go in and do a 12-year in, 25 out. And the date, and this is where things like shift, because my mom is praying for us. My mom's praying every day. We're getting prayer warriors involved all over the world. And, you know, when I told my mom originally, Mom, I'm leaving the country, this is where she grabs me. She says, have faith. You're going to be fine. Look, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. God will forgive you, but it's time to change your life. And you have to acknowledge that. So, you know, at this point, I'm not like, you know, I've always been a believer. I'm not a fanatic. I wouldn't call myself that religious person. I'm a big believer though. Yeah. And so we fought the case, we prayed, we did that for almost 2 years. And the thing is, in my story, we end up talking about it. There's nights where I went out to sushi or to a club, and the DEA agents were following me around. My mom said that the DEA agents that were at her apartment were working out right next to me in the gym.
Oh my heck.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I just went back to the gym, and, you know, they expect to hear something on the phone, or my phones were tapped. I found out later. But the reality is, after I got busted and my contact, we made one contact, and that was it. We split up, and they pretty much told me, do your time and your family will be okay. That's simple. Do your time and your family will be okay. Yeah. You know, and that means obviously do your time, don't talk.
Exactly. They're throwing some comms at you.
So, and I actually go into that little scene. It was quite a scene in the movie, but, you know, and this is a part where I'm not defending drug lords or gangbangers or anybody in that world. But what some people need to also understand is, you know, they always see the other foot. If the shoe was on the other foot, you have to understand some of these people were born into that.
They know nothing. You know, they know nothing but that.
They know nothing but that. And their father, they're 2 and they're 3, and they're hearing gunshots. They're hearing fighting and wars. And by the time that they're 7 and 8, they're in the family business, and they just don't know any better.
That's normal. So,
that's normal. So that wasn't me.
Right.
However, I saw that with some other people.
I think it's important that you point that out, because most people wouldn't think about it. And you know, that allows us to have a different perspective and have some empathy and understanding, you know?
Yeah, because there is like
Doesn't mean we
this
condone
becomes
it, you know.
right.
But
This is a game of survival. Yes, the
yeah,
money, we become greedy. Yes, we become addicted, all of that. But a lot of the times they were born into a crap deal. They
yeah,
were born into already all odds against them statistically. They didn't have any other way. So we at
yeah,
least have to have some. I only bring that up because I'm dealing now with juvenile detention centers. I'm talking to kids, and they don't know any better. So by the
yeah,
time that they're 14 and 15, they've stolen their first car. They're getting in fights. They only know drugs. And I want them to understand that, hey, I respect your family and how they were, but I
yeah.
guarantee that your father wouldn't want you living the same life that he did if you didn't have to.
Amen.
We want our sons to grow up and not be how we got in trouble.
Yep.
So I just say that part as I speak to the world. I was just speaking to a juvenile detention center today in Houston, Texas, and I'm working on literally traveling the whole U.S.
That's
and
so
and
great.
and talking to these kids, because I know that a high statistic of them, they have so much talent. They're so smart. They have so much to offer this world. If I can go to prison for almost 4 years and get out on the ankle monitor, and it happened when I was 25.
Yeah.
These kids are only 14 and 15. They got a
Yeah.
lot of time.
Dude, that's a powerful message because, you know, not only can you have the impact to change people's lives, but like you said, they have no clue the power they have. And so you're able to wake them up to that and let them see what's possible, you know, and be that mentor that kind of shepherds them like you were blessed to have, you know. So
Amen.
that's incredible. So you're in prison, and tell me
So
about
I'm in
Forever
prison.
Faith, man.
So now, we fought the case, and it was just time to surrender and say, I'm going in. Mom, I got to go away. My mom flies out to my court hearing, my last day. My brother flies out there. And at this point, my attorney tells me, Abe, there's a lot of stuff I can't even share, but we'll talk about it on another call.
I understand, man.
My attorney tells me it's time to turn yourself in. They're giving you 12 years in, 25 out. And what that means is we dropped it from a violent crime to a non-violent crime. And then we dropped it from a federal case to a state case.
Okay.
And in state, on a non-violent crime, you're only doing 30 to 40%.
Yep.
So that's a big difference.
Huge. Yeah.
So, and then my attorney tells me, take all the courses, there's programs. There's if you stay out of trouble, there's good time, there's this and there's that. Well, I end up getting there. There's nothing, no programs, no good time.
Did they make you go in Oklahoma, or were you able to go? Okay. I figured
I had to do
state that they charged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my mom is in the back, and the judge tells me, I don't know why I'm doing this, Abraham, but I'm going to drop your sentence from a 12-year to a 10-year right now.
No way.
Dropped it right down there, hit the gavel. She tells the officer, Mr. Cruz, you're sentenced to 10 years in and 25 out. My mom is in the back crying on the floor now with my brother. My brother's holding her up. She's crying, and she's yelling in Spanish. And the guard handcuffs me to the other inmates and tells me in Spanish, he tells me, don't worry about it. God has a plan for you.
Wow, dude,
and I'm like,
know what's
what?
coming, and so that's just hit me. That's like crazy.
And I'm crying. It didn't make no sense.
Yeah.
And then, as I stated in the book, the day I got busted, that night, the first time I got busted, and I got put into jail, the person that I had to go in and give my ID and all that information to, he tells me, young man, what are you doing out here? You're the same age as my son in Orange County. He's from Orange County, and I was from LA.
Wow.
So he's like, I have a son your age. You shouldn't be in here. What would you get yourself into? And there was a big old pod with about 50 people in it, holding cell, drunks, rapists, everything. He tells me, go over there, hang out just by yourself, cool down. I don't want you to get into it with them.
Wow.
So fast forward 2 years, when it's time for me to turn myself in now, I turn myself in. The guard tells me God has a plan for you. And now he walks me down, under to the elevator, down courts, into the jail. And it's time to go to processing again to give my ID and my clothes, and they fill me out. It's the same guy.
No way. Holy cow.
It's the same guy. And he remembered me from 2 years ago.
Wow.
And guess what he does again? Sends me to another pod by myself without the other.
Oh my
chaos.
gosh.
So I'm sitting there now with my slacks and my button down shirt because I just came from court.
Yeah.
And I just stretch out and I'm just laying there like, oh my God, I can't believe this is ill. They threw a bologna sandwich at me, said, eat this. And that was the start of the journey. And, there's so many different miracles.
Jeez, I'll say.
There's so many different
Unreal.
miracles. I'll fast forward to when it was time for processing, we get shipped off. So there's a central location. It's called Lexington. Everybody in the state, they go from their state county jails to a housing, Lexington. And then from there, they get shipped off
to different prisons,
to their appropriate locations,
Yeah.
So mine was a non-violent crime. I'm a minimal offender. I should be going to a minimum yard, not a max or medium.
Wow.
So they put us in a bus. We go over to Dick Connors. Dick Connors is a medium yard behind the fence. And everyone, the bus stops and they say, all right, everyone up. Everyone gets up and they say, Cruz, you stay seated.
No way.
And I'm like,
holy,
why am I seated? Everyone off, Cruz, stay here. Cruz, you're going to overflow at Sepulpa Creek County. So I get into the little yellow bus. They take me over to Sepulpa Creek County, and I get there, and it's a big like pod. There's 50 people in there. There's 25 on the bottom, 25 at the top. We got bunk beds.
Yeah.
Bunk beds. We have 2 restrooms and one TV for everybody that we have to share. And so I'm in there now, and my attorney pumps me up and he tells me, Abe, we're going to get you a judicial review. 1 review in 1 year. Stay out of trouble, do the programs, do everything you can for good time. Well, I get to Creek County and there's nothing. There's no programs. There's no anything, nothing.
Yeah.
So my attorney writes me a letter 6 months into the sentence. And, I'm just kind of hanging out at this point. I just all right, let me get out of here. I'll be out in a year, right? Let's go. I'm still probably more cocky and arrogant at that point. My attorney sends me the letter and he says, Abe, I'm so sorry to tell you, the district attorney denied your review. You're not getting out after a year.
Oh, wow. So you're just yeah, that hurts.
So now I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So now is when I understand I'm going to be doing 30 to 40% of this 10-year sentence. And it could be 3 years. It could be 4 years. I hope I don't get into a fight. I saw fights. I saw stabbings. I saw a 21-year-old stab someone in the neck with a pencil because that person owed him 50 cents of noodles.
That sounds crazy, I guess. Yeah.
Top ramen noodles. He was only 21, 22, 6 months from being released, and he got an 8-year violent sentence added onto him.
Wow.
So
crazy.
So now I'm in there and I call my mom. I tell her, Mom, I'm not getting out. I don't know what's going to happen. And she says, it's okay, mijo. She says, son, in Spanish, it's okay. God has a plan for you. But you have to understand, you did this. Don't blame anyone else but yourself. You have to take accountability and understand the choices you made in your past are why you are where you are today.
That's the best lesson right there that everyone needs to understand. Everything we have in our life today is 100% based on choices we've made. Nobody else, us.
Yeah. Good or bad.
Amen. Yep.
And so she tells me, listen, son, God is prepared to take you in. Okay. Jesus sacrificed for you, but you have totally neglected them. You're not listening. So she tells me, get on your hands and knees. Ask God for a second chance in life. But more than that, she says, you have to sacrifice for God. You have to fast for 40 days. Because in the Bible, there was a fast for 40 days.
Yep.
So I'm like, Mom, what does that even mean? And she starts reading off the Bible to me and telling me the stories of 40 nights in the desert and fasting and sacrifices and all of that, right? So I tell her, okay, Mom, I have no other choice right now. I get on my hands and knees in my bed and I pray. I ask God, and I tell him, I'm making a deal with God at this point. And it's one of my chapters. I'm making a deal with God, and I'm saying, Father, I know I have not paid attention to you. I neglected you, but I ask you, please give me a second chance to get out and show you that I will work for you. I will do your deed. I will let the world know that it was you that gave me a second chance, that it was you that loves me and that loves everybody. Please give me that second chance, and I will represent you in the way that I'm supposed to. So I start fasting, and I literally start dreaming every night. And these dreams are visions. Every morning I'd wake up and I'd write it down on paper. And in my book, I have it. I actually have it right here. I have over 200
I saw pictures of them. Yeah.
I have over 200 documents.
Really?
Yeah. Like, cause in jail, I didn't even have a notebook. So any paper or scrap that we found, I had to keep and use and write. So I started writing out every vision, and I wrote out the vision of forever faith first. So I started writing to my mom, and my mom would tell me, she would pray for me. She'd tell me to be strong. And I would end my letter saying, Mom, don't worry about me. It's like I'm at Boy Scout camp. I said, you, Mom, you stay strong. You stay strong, stay patient, and forever keep your faith. And then I would sign it at the bottom, forever faith.
Wow.
And I just did that for a while. And then, like I said, every day I was dreaming visions. And before you knew it, I was playing spades with all of the inmates. And I saw the guys would go, they get on the phone, they talk to their wife or their kids, they'd be crying. And some of them were only a month away from getting out. And they were saying that they didn't want to get out of prison because they were so scared of responsibilities of the outside. How are they going to make money? How are they going to pay for bills? How are they going to support their family? It's easier in prison to just have a bed, 3 meals a day, and a shower.
3 hots in a cup, baby. You got it.
And we didn't even have the hot showers most of the time.
Really?
They were cold showers. So we couldn't shave because the water was so cold. Our face got so bad. Oh man.
Wow.
So the guys they lost all their faith, and I would say, you guys have lost your faith. You can't lose your faith. God has a plan for all of us, but you have to understand what has to happen. And I said, man, when I get out of here, I'm gonna create a brand. I'm gonna create a company to move and inspire the world. And I'm asking them, like they even care.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, what do I call it? And then I said, wait a minute. I wrote it down, Forever Faith. And then I said, man, I'm gonna start designing clothes because everyone in the world has to wear a shirt. So they're all gonna get my message. And they all thought I was crazy. They said, shut up, Abe, move on. So I started designing clothes right there in prison. I started creating concepts. I started creating slogans and talking about marketing plans and ideas and all those things. And I wrote it all down. And then I ended up deciding, after I kind of established that Forever Faith was the brand and the message for the world, I started writing a comic book. And I created a comic book where the characters were using Forever Faith clothing. And they all were, and the character had dog tags on. So cool. I had already seen the jewelry that we were wearing. So like this dog tag says, God first, me second.
That's awesome.
And in the comic book, the character, which is DJ, and the DJ stands for Dark Justice.
Okay.
And Dark Justice was the dark side going for the justice, because the people who claim to be good are corrupt and they're evil. They're using the good name to hide their evil.
Yep.
So Dark Justice character, which is DJ,
that's awesome.
Which is my brother's name is David, my son's name is middle name is Dave, and the first name is Joshua. So I created DJ for Dark Justice.
That's great, man.
And it's pretty much an action story about me going after all the crooked cops.
That's great.
So I have it registered with the guild in the Writers Guild, and we're gonna pursue that here shortly. But we're doing other projects.
So how long have you been out of prison?
So, all right. So after the vision was all created right there in prison, I stayed busy for the next 3.5, 4 years. And I ended up finally getting out in the end of 2010, almost 2011.
Dude, yeah,
And
wow. I got out in 2010.
huh?
I got out in 2010.
2010. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from that point on, the reality is that I had to get a job. My probation officer said, you have to get a job. You have an ankle monitor, and you have to pay for your ankle monitor at that, $175 a month.
Oh my heck.
That was super expensive. You
No
know, we just
kidding.
fresh out. So probably about 12, 13 days out. My first thing I do when I get out is I go to the gym and I work out, and I go to Payway to eat some Japanese food because I had a few bucks on me and have some good food. But my plans out of prison when I got a job was, okay, I'm gonna get a job at a gym. They're gonna hire me, no problem. So I would go to the gym, I'd work out, I'd wear something tight to show off.
Yeah.
I had the ankle monitor on, but covered with my pants. And I do a workout, and then I go ask to speak with the manager, and I say, hey, this is a great gym. It's my first day here. I'm also looking for a job. Are you guys looking for personal trainers? They said, oh, we are. So I fill out a resume. We talked. We have an interview, and I have to say, by the way, I do have an ankle monitor, and I have to tell you legally.
Yeah.
They'd say, oh, thank you for coming in. We'll get back to you. Never call me back.
Yep.
And that happened about 10 different gyms. So before you knew it, I had probably gathered up about 15 jobs. And my probation officer says, what's going on? You're going on 2 weeks. You don't have a job yet. If you don't have a job in 48 hours, I'm sending you back to prison.
Oh, sheesh.
So I faxed over the list of my job interviews, and I went from gym to gym to gym to real estate office to loan mortgage broker to dentist office to an attorney's office. $20, $30 an hour jobs. I was looking for something big, right?
Yep.
She says, are you crazy?
Go to McDonald's.
She tells me, you better go wash dishes at McDonald's or go sweep at Burger King. And wow. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I have way more to offer this world. Just give me some time. She says, you have 48 hours to get a job or I'm sending you back. Man, I cried right after that. I cried. I called my mom. I said, Mom, they're going to send me back to prison. I need a job. We get on our hands and knees. We pray again. We pray. We say a serious prayer. God help us. Please you didn't get me out of prison so I can be sent right back. I know that this is just a test. Please help me. So there's so many miracles in this story. While I was in, there was a pastor. His name was Pastor Hellstrom, went to Victory Church in Oklahoma. He would come in every week and he would minister to us. He would read the Bible, read sports magazines, just whatever to help us. Yeah. And there was a group of other people that came in, but they didn't have the same vibe as him. He came in with no fear. He came in with no judgment. He came in with love. He would walk into the jail and literally wake us up and say, hey, Abe Cruz, get out here today. The other pastors would stay at the door and make a big announcement and say, would anyone like to read the Bible today?
Of course not.
Nobody even acknowledged them.
Yep.
This guy, John Hellstrom, he walked into the pits of the jail, woke us up and said, let's get out here.
What a stud, man.
He was, and he was incredible. And I was sharing with him every week he'd come in. I would share the artwork and the designs. I say, look, this is Forever Faith. I know it doesn't look like much yet because it's stick figures, but this is what I'm going to do. The clothing, the mission. He says, that's good, Abe. He says, when you get out, if you need any help, you let me know. Well, he ended up in contact with my mom because my mom had to find a Christian sober living home for me because I couldn't get out because I had no family there. The state made me stay in Oklahoma. So we found a Christian sober living home, thanks to him. And when my probation officer told me you have 48 hours to find a job or else you're going back to prison. Well, that next day, I did have an interview set up at about 10 in the morning, but I also had to report to probation office at 8 in the morning. And I didn't have a car. I was riding the bus from city to city. There's no way I could meet both. So I called him and I said, I know it's been a few years. I hope all is well. I need some help. And I told him, I said, I have a job interview at 10, but I have to go to probation at 8. And I can't get to both. Are you available? Would you be help? Would you be able to help me? He says, Abe, I absolutely will help you under one condition. And I said, sure, what is it? He said, you have to go to church with me on Sunday.
Really?
And I said, absolutely, John, no problem. I'm there. I'm going to church. As long as I'm not in prison on Sunday,
That's right. It's a good day.
Yeah. So he picks me up, takes me to my probation officer. I go to my probation officer. I'm dressed up in a nice Calvin Klein button shirt and slacks. I look like, I look great,
Yeah.
Clean shaven and everything, nice haircut. And she says, why are you all dressed like that? I said, well, because I have another job interview right after. She says, I told you, you better go sweep the floor or clean dishes at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And he was upset that she was talking to me like that.
Right.
He was upset how degrading she was to me. He didn't say anything. He's a kind man, but he said, don't worry about her. Don't let her throw you off. Stay focused on your job interview. He takes me to my job interview, and it's at a gym. And we sit in the car in the front parking lot, right in front of the gym. He grabs my hand and he says, we're going to pray.
Yep.
He says a prayer. He says a powerful prayer. And he prayed for favor that I get this job. I go into the job interview. I sit down with the vice president, Scott Matlock. He ends up looking at my resume, and he sees on the resume, like, it was good because I was in real estate. I was in the gym, club promotions. And then for 4 years, it was blank and empty.
Yeah.
And he says, you've been blank and empty. I said, yes, sir. I can explain. I'm sorry. I made a big mistake. I ended up in prison, and I just got out 2 weeks ago, and I have the ankle monitor on right now, and I'm hungry. I'm willing to work hard. I will do whatever I need to do. We have a little conversation. He ends up saying, Abe, I don't know why, but you're hired.
Wow.
You start tomorrow. And I was just so excited. And because I got the job, I was relieved. And I asked him, I said, okay, well, I start tomorrow. Is it okay if I work out today? I haven't worked out. And he said, sure, work out today. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Right. So I do my workout. I felt pumped up like a new man with a job, but I only have like $3 or $4 in my wallet. I only had a couple bucks to ride the bus home. Okay. So I end up walking over to a supplement store right next door, like next to the gym. And I wanted to buy like a protein smoothie. So I walk into the supplement store, and, there's supplements all across the racks. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen any of these things in years, supplements. Someone else walked, in right behind me, 60 seconds. They go in there, they're looking around, and they ask me, hey, I'm trying to get big like you. What supplements do you suggest? You recommend? I said, well, it's been a few years, but I think this one's pretty good. It was like a $60 bottle. They take it to the counter. They pay for it. They leave, and they say, thank you. They go out. I walk over to the counter. The owner says, do you want a job? You're hired.
No way. Just from listening to you interact with that customer. I mean, what's the chances the customer asks you? What's the chances of him being right there? I mean, come on. There's miracles all over.
I call my probation officer 30 minutes later and say, I got 2 jobs.
Wow.
They didn't believe it. They had to call everybody to verify. And anyway, we'll move on. So I got the job at the gym. 3 months later, I'm promoted to management. I end up getting the job as a manager. I'm still working at the supplement shop. And now I'm starting during the day at the supplement shop. If no one's there, it's really boring.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to use a computer. I didn't know how to type. I didn't know how to do any of these things. But I heard from other people about Facebook and Google and all these things. And I just put in Google, how do you start a clothing line? And things just started popping up that gave you ideas or direction. And remember, I had documents from prison.
Yeah.
And I had actual artwork because I paid tattoo artists. I paid them soap or chips or top ramen noodles to draw for me.
Jail currency.
So they designed Forever Faith. I had some actual
Wow.
designs, and someone at the gym says, Abe, I overheard that, you know, you want to start a clothing line. Well, this person, they own a print shop.
Jeez.
I could have went to any city out of prison. I could have went to Oklahoma City. I could have went to another city. I ended up in Tulsa. I applied to 10 different gyms. They all said no. I got to this final gym. This gym had a person that could print my shirts.
Unreal.
From the vision from prison.
Wow.
They print the shirts. They give me credit for like 20. I sold the 20 in the gym. Half of the gym was wearing my clothes now. We just doubled that. We stacked it up, turned that into $800. I ended up, at this time, the supplement owner was actually picking me up in the morning and or I would ride the bus to work in the morning, and then the supplement owner would actually take me home.
Wow.
So I had a ride now. I was able to save money. I was a manager making a salary. Now I had this side hustle. I sold shirts. I bought my first car for $800.
Wow.
And it was an Acura Integra that didn't have air. The window was busted, but it drove. So now I have a car. Now I can get up at 4 in the morning and be at the gym by 5. And I was there from 5 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Just training clients, building the brand of Forever Faith, selling it out of the trunk of my car. And someone ends up coming into the gym one day and saying, I see everybody wearing Forever Faith. What is that? And at the time, it was foreverfaith777.com. And somebody says, what is that? They point them into my direction. I said, oh, that's my company. It's something that I started. And he said, I saw your website, but you don't have any clothing on there. And I said, no, I haven't got to that part yet. And he says, well, I'm a photographer by hobby. I don't mind doing it for free. And I said, well, I really don't have that many clothes left. I only have a few pieces, but maybe next time, sure. We sit down, I tell him the story of prison. I tell him about my visions and how I fasted and how I have all these documents and this is the future. And after 3 meetings, he says, I feel like God sent me to help you.
Wow.
He says, I'm not a rich man, but I'm retired and, you know, I have like $80,000 in credit cards. I'm going to help you.
Wow. Wow.
You know, and from that point on, the dream, the visions was for real. I didn't have an LLC. I didn't have a trademark. I didn't have any real business. I was just selling t-shirts out of the trunk of my car.
I think that's important, you know, to point out to the listeners, because I think so often people get caught up thinking they have to have this or that before they can just take action. And as an entrepreneur, really is in anything you're doing, whether it's your job, entrepreneur, building a business, you got to just take action. You know, you can figure out what you need to figure out as you go. Don't get hung up thinking you have to have X before you can do Y.
Right.
So many powerful things that, you know, I've heard you talk about. It's just, man, where do you start? Because, you know, you obviously, you know, turned your life over to God, but man, for those believers out there, how, you know, there's just too many, you know, little miracles in your story. And that's the way it is in life if we include God. You know? I
say it now, and I had this before, and it's a slogan, but it's a reality. It's not just a slogan, it's real. I say, when we put God first and ourselves second, we can't lose. That is the mindset of a champion. And, you know, traditionally, you got religious fanatics, you got churches, you got preachers. And I say this with love and respect, because I never disrespect anyone. Yeah. And I'll hold on. I'll use the example of fitness, right? Let's use that. So we're not here to insult anybody, but many people say they want to get in shape, or they want to lose weight, or they want to get a 6-pack, but they don't really want it. It just sounds good to say it. And they'll say it over and over again for a year, for 2 years, maybe for 10 years.
Yep.
And never actually go after it and do it. So a lot of people in these areas, they say, oh, no, God first, family second. And I say, well, that sounds great, right?
Yep.
And I think that's emotionally nice, but the reality is you cannot give your family your best if you are not at your best.
So
How
true.
can you give your children something to look forward to if you're a struggling college dropout, drug addict, alcoholic who says, oh, I put my family first?
Yep.
You have to become a warrior and a champion, and a real champion puts God first. That means that now they're going to give everything to their family and to their friends and to the world.
Yep. And now you've given, by doing what you've done, it's allowing you to do that. You know, and as I was listening to you talk about the days and how you started 4 and what you chose to do, too often people don't understand. They say it like you say. They'll say the things because temporarily that makes you feel like you're, I mean, I've been guilty of that in my life. It makes you
We
feel
all
like
have,
you're
we all have,
going
yeah.
there, you know, but you got to do what's required.
But
you know?
there comes, we're all guilty of it. We all have,
Yep.
because life is so fast. There's so many distractions, so
Yep.
many things that pull us. But once we actually take accountability and we lock in and we understand that we're in control, we just said it, when we understand the decisions and the choices that we made yesterday, last week, last year are going to affect us now. Now we're playing the long game. We're playing,
Yep.
the decisions today are for 10 years from now.
Yep. Well, let's, I appreciate your time for that person out there that's struggling. I mean, with what's happened in 2020, kind of where we're headed already in 21, you know, it's affecting a lot of people. You know, if you could just say one thing to anybody that's kind of struggling, what would be your message? I mean, obviously,
Well,
God first.
Well, I would start off by saying I completely understand, and it's normal. We're all dealing with it. We have to be able to adjust. We have to be able to adjust to the situation. If you're standing there and, you know, a car is coming at you and you see that it's going to hit you, that means you have to sidestep.
Yeah.
Move out the way. If there's you know, something has happened, a pandemic is happening, and we can't go outside. Our businesses are closed down. We have to adjust and figure out how to keep moving forward. Okay. Now, that means that you have to have the mindset of a champion.
Bingo.
And I don't mean that a champion just because of sports. I don't mean because you won a trophy. I'm talking about a champion in this world, in our life,
Yep.
for your kids. If you're a family member, for your kids, you're a champion. But because of the life that I've lived, from the streets of East LA to you know, poverty, to the Playboy Mansion, to the prison cells, to success, you have to take accountability. You have to put God first and yourself second, so you can grow and develop in what you need. God's going to put that, once you put God first, he's going to give you everything you need along the way. They just show up. Things show up when you're asleep.
That's
and
it.
Man, God, I was thinking about, I needed that. Well, you love me, you respect me, you put me first. I'm going to show you you're my child. I'm going to take care of you.
Amen. Doing that, you know, puts you in the right mind frame and the right, you know,
Amen.
You attract the things you think about, you know, and you can stay in a victim stance and you're going to continue to get crap in your life.
Right.
Or you can have the mindset of a champion. That's well said, man.
Amen.
Where can people find you, and where can they pick up your book?
So I would tell everybody to go to www.foreverfaith.com. I'm signing all of those personally. Every single one that comes through there. I will sign it if you like. And, you know, I have a whole clothing company. I have a whole supplement line. So they get discounts if they buy multiple items. But I encourage, as an entrepreneur, for people out of the country that don't want to pay all this extra shipping, they can go to Amazon and get it there. Of course, I don't talk about that, but you know, right. Everyone in the US, you can get it at foreverfaith.com. It's we're in stores now. We're in churches. Well, obviously the juvenile detention systems are buying them. It's becoming a tool of education and direction and inspiration. So foreverfaith.com.
That's fantastic. Do you guys, for maybe you got some kids in areas or situations where maybe they can't afford stuff. Do you have anywhere that people can donate?
Yes, you can still go to foreverfaith.com, and we have areas where you can donate. We had somebody who actually, what they ended up doing is just buying 50 books. They wanted to donate them specifically.
Perfect.
To this,
tell you guys where to, let you, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So
well, I can tell you,
to this organization or your church. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I can tell you that the book, he did sign mine, and I appreciate that. And at this point, I just got a sweatshirt. I'll get some more stuff because that, that's quality stuff.
You look good in it. You look good.
Hey, thank you, brother. I'll tell you, there's so many people out there that have swag and stuff. I mean, yeah, you're a clothing line, but this is legit stuff. You're not cutting corners and getting stuff just to put your name on and ship out, just average quality stuff. That's a quality sweatshirt. So,
well, I appreciate that. And just quick and short, part of this, I talk a little bit about the book. I don't talk about it all, but someone wanted to buy the brand 3 years out for $3 million.
I was gonna say, I remember hearing that. Yeah.
And we didn't sell it, but we got into a lawsuit because they felt that they could just manhandle us and take the brand from us anyway. Well, we didn't do that. We fought back. We fought the case in court for 4 years, and we won. It was a big monster. They had a lot of money, more than us, and we still won. But the point is that before that lawsuit, I went from my 1-bedroom apartment in Tulsa to a 300,000 square foot facility in downtown LA. And we were cutting and sewing, and I was designing everything we were at levels of Nordstrom's and Macy's quality, or Saks Fifth Avenue quality.
Wow. That's
so for that point, I was able to learn the business and learn how it's really done. So I have that experience. Now we downgraded slightly to the point where we wanted to make it affordable for everyone.
More people. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Because we were the people wanted to sell $300 tracksuits.
Yeah. You're eliminating the majority of the audience.
No, so this is about everybody. We want everyone to afford it. We want the single mother to be proud and to be able to afford it, like my mom.
Yeah.
So we still want some good quality, and we have some nice basic things, but it's for everyone.
Oh, that's fantastic. Man, Abe, it's been such a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you soon, because I got some questions for you about some things that you've got that you'll probably help me. So
absolutely.
But brother, yeah, it's been fantastic. And God bless you and your family. You got 2 kids, or was it 3?
I have 2. I have an 8-year-old. I have an 8-year-old now with my wife. And then we have a 7. Oh, he's going to be 18 here now in March.
Oh, very cool.
I treat him like my blood, but it's from my wife's previous relationship. But I met him when he was 8.
Yeah, you're dad.
So I'm dad. Absolutely.
Awesome.
I love him.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a great weekend, and I appreciate it, man. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much again for this opportunity. I enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to meeting you one day in person as well.
Absolutely. So where are you, in California now then?
I'm in Oklahoma now.
Oh, really?
Okay. We moved back. The story gets crazy.
Dang.
But we moved back to Oklahoma. Oklahoma keeps me grounded and very grateful, respectful, humble. So we're here with the family, beautiful home in Oklahoma. I go to LA when we have to, when we need to be there for manufacturing purposes. We do a lot of sports uniforms for teams now.
Oh, cool.
And we do a lot of them in LA.
Okay, well, great. Well, if I get out that way, man, I'll definitely pop in. I look forward to meeting you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And same to you and your family. You guys have a great one.
Thanks. Take care, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.